In 2012, Spain was the sick man of Europe. Broke, locked out of markets, begging Brussels for a €100 billion rescue, while French leaders lectured it about fiscal discipline. Today, Spain is growing faster than the United States, and the markets now charge France, the lecturer, more to borrow money than Spain. The patient and the doctor have traded places, and how that happened may decide whether the euro survives. By the end of this video, you'll see the 3 structural advantages Spain quietly built, and the third one is the one France cannot copy no matter who wins its next election. You'll also see why, if France breaks, it doesn't stay a French problem. It reaches your currency, your retirement account, and your job market, whether you live in Lyon, Madrid, or Michigan. If this is the kind of breakdown you want more of, like the video and subscribe. We publish multiple times a week. To understand the reversal, you have to understand how far apart these two countries were. In 2012, Spain was the cautionary tale of the euro. A housing bubble had detonated its banks. Unemployment hit 26%. Over half of all young Spaniards couldn't find work. An entire generation packed up and left for London, for Berlin. Europe extended a rescue line of up to €100 billion just to keep the Spanish banking system standing. France sat on the other side of that table. Core Europe, the co-signer of the rescue. The country whose ministers explained patiently what Spain had done wrong. We showed you in an earlier video how Germany's economic model broke. What almost nobody noticed is that France was breaking at the same time, just more slowly and more expensively. Because while cameras stayed on Madrid, 2 numbers started moving in opposite directions. Spain's deficit began falling, and France's didn't. Spain reformed its labor market and restructured its banks because it had no choice. France, which always had a choice, chose nothing. 12 years later, the bond market delivered its verdict. In September of 2024, for the first time since the 2008 financial crisis, France's 10-year borrowing cost rose above Spain's. It had not durably flipped back. So, what did Spain actually build? Not luck, not just tourism, 3 structural advantages compounding at the same time. The first? Energy. 3 weeks ago, we showed you what the war in the Strait of Hormuz did to global energy prices. Here's why that matters so much more in Paris than it did in Madrid. In Europe, electricity is priced by the last power plant that has to switch on to meet demand. And that last plant is almost always a gas plant. So, when gas gets expensive, everybody's power bill follows it up. In Italy this year, gas has set the price of electricity 9 hours out of every 10. In Germany, 4 out of 10. In Spain, barely 1. 2 decades of solar and wind build-out mean the Iran shock that is squeezing Paris barely touches Madrid. Spanish factories are paying some of the cheapest industrial power prices in Europe in the middle of an energy war. The second? People. Poland's rise, we covered it, was built on catching the factories Germany was losing. Spain's is built on catching something else: workers. While the rest of Europe ages and shrinks, Spain absorbs roughly 600,000 immigrants a year, adding around half a percentage of point of growth annually. Every year, compounding, and the jobs aren't just waiting tables. They're high-value service jobs like finance, tech, professional services, and they are up more than 20% since 2019, double the pace of France. And the third, the one France cannot copy. The bond market believes Spain. Spain's deficit is down to about 2.4% of GDP. It is the only one of Europe's 4 big economies on track to actually lower its debt over the next 3 years. And here's the irony: Spain hasn't passed a full national budget since 2023. And its politics are messy too. The difference is Spain runs a 2.4 deficit without a budget. France runs 5.4 with one. Look at what's happening on the other side of the Pyrenees. France has burned through 5 prime ministers in under 2 years. One government lasted 27 days, the shortest in the history of the French Republic. The 2026 budget only exists because the government invoked emergency constitutional powers and survived the no-confidence votes to force it through. The debt is now north of 115% of GDP. In Europe, only Greece and Italy carry more. Taxes are already the highest in the European Union, at 45% of everything the country produces. So the usual escape hatch, raise taxes, is welded shut. And the spending side is politically untouchable. French pensioners now earn more on average than French workers. The country tried raising the retirement age from 62 to 64. It got months of riots, and then the reform was frozen anyway to save the government. The government of the Bank of France calls anything above a 5% deficit the red zone. France is in it. The central bank cannot help. The European Central Bank is holding rates high because the Iran war reignited inflation. And the presidential election is 10 months away, with the polls led by a candidate the courts have fitted with an electronic ankle monitor. Every tool France would normally use, spending cuts, tax rises, rate cuts, political stability, they are gone. All of them, at the same time. Now, here's why this isn't just a European story. When Greece nearly took down the euro, its debt was a few hundred billion euros, and rescuing it still pushed Europe to its limit. France owes more than 3 trillion. There's no fund, no institution, and certainly no political will on earth big enough to rescue a country that size. If France falls, nothing catches it. And remember the rule from our debt series. The money has to come from somewhere. European banks are stuffed with French government bonds. If those bonds fail, bank balance sheets fall with them. The same doom loop that nearly killed the euro in 2011, except this time in the currency's second largest economy. Economists are already warning that a French debt crisis could do to the world what Thailand did in 1998. Start small, then cascade. Through the euro, into a surging dollar, into the earnings of the companies in your index fund, into the interest rate on your next loan. Now, before anyone crowns Spain, here's the argument you're about to have in the comments. The skeptics have real points. Spanish unemployment is 10.5%, the lowest since 2008, but still among the worst in Western Europe. Productivity per worker has barely moved since 2019. Some argue Spain is just adding people, not getting richer per person. Housing costs are exploding, and locals are marching against the tourists the economy depends on. They're all true. And none of it changes the verdict that matters most. When global investors choose, with their own money, which of these two governments is likely to pay them back, they would choose Madrid. So read the system. The Eurozone was designed around a core and a periphery. Disciplined north, fragile south. The map is now obsolete. Discipline lives wherever the structure forces it to live. And right now, the structure, cheap energy, growing workforces, the bond market trust, that all lives in the south. And here's the number to watch. The gap between French and Spanish 10-year borrowing costs. Every time that gap widens, the market is voting that the reversal is permanent. And circle around May 2027, the French presidential election. If markets start pricing the results early, you won't read about it in the headline first. You'll see it in the gap. If this connected dots the headlines didn't, like the video and subscribe. We publish multiple times a week. Next up, one death in Washington just froze $350 billion and exposed the US Senate has no backup plan for it.